Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's great to welcome the team from BizzyCar to this panel that's going to highlight not only automated recalls, but a specialty being mobile service. Want to introduce the panel. They are Ed Roberts and Jeremy Stevens from Bozard Ford Lincoln, Jim Sabino from the All-American Automotive Group, Hunter Swift, and Michael Murray from BizzyCar. Everybody, welcome to the panel. Mike, I saw the announcement recently that Hunter came aboard. If you don't mind, give us a little bit of color on that.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. So, yeah, as mentioned, as BizzyCar continues to grow, we were fortunate to bring on Hunter Swift. He joins us as our Vice President of Marketing. Long history in automotive, probably knows a lot of the people that are joining us today on the call. But we're super excited to have him, in addition to a bunch of other people that we've continued to add to BizzyCar over the last year. So excited to have Hunter on the panel today as well.
Yeah, this is my first time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, so thank you, Ted.
And Hunter, we've heard a lot of great things about you. Again, welcome to BizzyCar and welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And Hunter, welcome to the world of mobile, okay? Because here we're going to find out all about it. So Ed Roberts and Jeremy Stevens over at Bozard, we thought we'd talk a little bit on this panel about mobile service, why consumers like mobile, what's the attraction? Tell us a little bit, and Ed, maybe about how Bozard got into it initially as well.
Well, consumers like mobile because it's convenient for them, and that's exactly how we got into it. We got into it because we realized that there's a pain point that 30% of, well, let's back up, let's turn that around the other way. 70% of our customers don't service with dealers. We're fortunate for that number to be larger here, but across all brands, only about 30% do business with the dealer. And we could say, okay, well, why is that? But you really dial into it, and we don't honor their time. We don't do the things that they desire us to do. And then you add in these recalls. They may get a letter from the manufacturer or whatever else, but ultimately their vehicle runs fine. It's not causing them any grief, and to them, that's not an issue for them. So why take the time to go do it?
And Jeremy, you're heading up that entire remote services at Bozard.
Yep, that's correct, and it's definitely, customers love it. It's nice to get feedback from customers that is positive. That your guys were professional, they were friendly, they took care of my issues. I didn't have to leave my house. I didn't have to travel to a dealership. So the convenience part has been fabulous for our customers.
And Jeremy, you've got a very big shop there. I believe it's the biggest on the East Coast with 100 service bays. When I was out there last year, I believe Ed and the team had their 10th mobile service van. I know, Jeremy, you and Ed have been expanding that. Ed, where do we stand now and where are you headed with mobile?
Well, the plan this year is to get 50 on the road, and we're closing on the 20 mark right now. I think we put 3 more on the road last week. But we won't stop there, and where that number ends up being, who knows? But it could very well be in the hundreds, maybe even a couple hundred. But ultimately, it's about taking care of our customers, expanding our market area, and taking care of our brand as far as our customers that drive our brand, and then that in itself builds our brand, the Bozard brand.
Jim Sabino, you're busy building the brand there at All-American Ford in New Jersey as well. Tell us why you got into mobile and what your consumers like about it.
So the reason, a couple of years ago, I wasn't really a big fan. I wasn't a believer. I was a little hesitant in jumping into the pool. And honestly, I saw, and I've said this before, and I followed Ed and his social media posting, LinkedIn posting, and I've seen him on your panels here. And I started listening, and I just kept quiet. I started listening, and I watched his success, adding vans, just a huge success story. Customers buying into it, loving the convenience of what this service provides. And I'm like, he's onto something. He definitely is onto something, and I'm going to just keep listening. And we had, an opportunity to get into mobile service through our dealership, and the dealership level, the owners are bought into it. They supported 100%. We put a plan together, and we set the ship in motion, and continuing to watch from Ed and watch him grow his fleet, and he added Jeremy on, and we learned in the beginning the do's and the don'ts, and we made some mistakes, and there's no question about it, but we learned from our mistakes and came out the other end better. We've since expanded. We have a total of 9 units across our 4 rooftops that's on the road every day. And we're growing. We have plans to add more units, as Ed is. A couple of hundred is that's amazing, absolutely amazing. But we are growing. Our customers have received it incredibly well. The feedback has been nothing but positive. And we're starting to see reoccurring where people have experienced it on the first go around and they're calling back and requesting it. So all indicate, the proof of concept is way beyond it's done. It works. Full team commitment and the limits are endless. You can't limit yourself to what you can do. You have to think outside the box and provide a customer with some really great service, and you're going to win that customer over for a long time and keep them in your dealership doing business with you. So that's how we do it. That's how it's done.
So Hunter, every time we get this group together, I always take a lot of notes. And about 2 years ago, Ed Roberts dropped a phrase called trip value. And here's where I think recalls enter the scene. Ed, tell us a little bit about trip value, what that means, because there were dealers trying to make this pencil. And tell us your thinking there.
So there's different things that we do with mobile, whether it's go and put an SOP part on or special order part for the audience that may not know what SOP is, or go out and diagnose check engine light. There's drive time on the way out and on the way back. And we want to do as much as we can with that time. And that's what we talk about with building trip value is what can we do along the way on the way out? And what can we do along the way back? And that's where BizzyCar really comes in and helps us with that because we're going to pass by other car dealers. We're going to pass by other places as well. And they can dial into, see what we're capable of, know whether we can do it mobile, know if I have the parts for it, and set those things up, lay all the groundwork for us to build all the trip value in that we need to make that a productive trip out to Mr. Jones' house without just going to Mr. Jones and back.
Yeah, that's a great point. You mentioned it, Ted, about just convenience. I think the number one reason that people don't get their car serviced or get the recall done is they're just busy. They don't have the time. And I think mobile service definitely checks that box off. But, as what Ed's talking about, you got to make it profitable. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Jiffy Lube. You literally don't even have to get out of the car, right? You drive over the bay, they do the oil changes, but they're not successful and profitable over $19 oil change. It's all of the other additional things that they do. And adding recalls, adding upsell opportunities is really how you optimize that. So I love your idea of how to make this work, because that's the number one question I think I get from dealers is, sounds like a great idea. It can help me with my customer service, but how can I make this profitable? How can I make money from it?
But I really love what you were saying about defection rate and using it as a way to get customers back in. I mean, if customers leave, it's Cox does a study. The reason why 30% of those defectors leave is time related. Can't get into the store for weeks. When I get there, I have to wait. By putting a mobile truck on the ground, you're actually taking the biz them. You're not filling up your store, right, with main shop services, and you're getting to them quickly. And it's a huge differentiator. When I bought my Ford, I bought it because the dealer had mobile. There were other Ford stores, but not all of them offered mobile. And I have multiple Ford cars in the driveway. So having that mobile experience was really great. It's a differentiator for people to buy and to continue to service there. And it doesn't hurt to have a mobile billboard driving up and down the road either.
That's for sure.
Jim, tell us some of the challenges you faced early on.
Sure. So, the scheduling, we have it kind of split up into like north, south, east, west. And the scheduling was a little bit of a challenge. When Ed talks about trip value, and one of our other dear friends, Mark Mickens, they also talked about trip value on other panels, and is a very good operator in the mobile service and trainer. So employing BizzyCar, partnering up with them helps that tremendously. So they help you schedule. They do all the heavy lifting of finding these VINs with these open recalls. As you know, Ford has identified 69% of all recalls are mobile friendly and can be performed on the truck on the road. So that's a huge number and a big advantage to work with the dealers and the end user, the customer, because it's convenient. You don't have to come into the service department. It's like going to the dentist, right? Nobody wants to come in and get it done. So we come to you and take all the pain points away. We're going to come to your place of business, or we're going to come to your home and perform that on site, on location, at your convenience. So BizzyCar tremendously helps that because they find those VINs and it allows us to kind of schedule the days and their dashboard and everything that they do, their technology and the AI that they use out there, it works. And every single contact and information that we get from BizzyCar has all the information, the name, the address, email addresses, cell number, the recall, the labor operation, and how much money each recall is going to generate. I mean, there's nothing that they don't cover that makes it so much easy for us to schedule, to navigate. The parts department, our mobile service coordinator plays a big role in all the information, working with BizzyCar every day. And it's so simple to use, but it fills so many gaps. And that trip value, when you're going from retail from one customer to another customer, at any given day, you can have an average of an hour to an hour and a half of driving time. As you know, driving time is non-billable time. So you have to be very aware of where those trucks are going and what the distance is between each trip. When you get lucky and you work with some of your fleet and wholesale customers, you may have 2, 3, 4 VINs per visit. That works really well, where the van rolls up and that one fleet customer that BizzyCar maybe identified, or a used car lot maybe has 4 or 5 VINs that you can go in, do it at one sitting. So you have to be able to juggle that, which we do, but it's using their technology and their partnership has helped us tremendously accelerate the growth. And not only mobile, a lot of our customers that were BizzyCar generated come into the service department. They drive in. So it's basically, it drives revenue into your service department, whether it's through mobile, pickup and delivery, or the customer itself driving into your service lane. So, there's 3 different avenues, but they drive a lot of revenue in every day, every month, and it works. It works really, really well. But you need a committed team behind with you at your dealership to make this whole thing work properly. It really, and then you're going to be successful. And then you can add the units on because you worked out all the kinks. BizzyCar is moving. Every single day you're getting emails of leads, of booked appointments. They're done. It's done. They do all the heavy lifting for you. So you can easily add staff and fans on, knowing that you have this support behind you.
Ed Roberts, how long have you been on the BizzyCar platform, if I may ask?
We've been with BizzyCar for coming up on 4 years now. They've been a great partner with us.
Okay. And, Jim mentioned the mobile coordinator. And I think here's where Jeremy comes in. Tell us about the team you've built around to help make this mobile service operation, including recalls, so successful.
So what was great about the recalls, it kind of helped us close some gaps in our schedule. It just made us more efficient on that side. So just like Jim was saying, we get emails and, we're just following up those emails and scheduling that time for the day before. So it definitely helps us where we can still kind of put that in the right spot to be more efficient on the route. So it's definitely has helped that part. And we have, right now I have a lead advisor and 3 other service advisors to help facilitate that part of it.
Wow. Ed, how big is that mobile team grown so far? How many people?
We're closing in on 50 people that's involved in mobile now, and but that's just getting started. That will continue to skyrocket.
Wow.
Hunter, it's pretty amazing to hear the growth, at these dealerships and how successful they are, not just with mobile, but with recalls in general as well.
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting, Ford does a really good job of outfitting their Ford dealers and giving them the Ford Transit van that can do all these services, oil changes and things like that. But there's a lot of other brands out there who don't have the OEM support, and it's a little bit more difficult for them. But there are specific brands who have a lot of flash updates or security. Like Hyundai has the 993 recall that has to do with the engine immobilizer, things like that. It doesn't even require a full transit van. It could just be a Hyundai Tucson, and you have a guy that's just driving around and doing these updates, and it takes about 30 minutes. So I think, on one side you have, what Ed's doing. And then if a dealership hasn't got to that point, but just wants to start, it really doesn't require much. But again, it's all about optimizing your day, your route, and planning and getting those appointments so that that's just efficient, because you don't want a guy driving all around and not, spending most of his time driving instead of actually doing the work.
And Mike, I know you've helped set up the groundwork at BizzyCar. You work with several OEMs, manufacturers. Tell us about that. And I think one among them is Ford.
Yeah, sure. So obviously we do work with Ford. That's been a really successful partnership for us. And as Hunter and Ed and Jeremy and Jim, they're Ford dealers, so they can attest to the partnership that we have with Ford that's allowing dealers to be super successful. But we're also starting to see this pick up in some other areas. As everyone knows, we've got some dealerships where we built this out in St. Louis that are non-Ford branded, so Hyundai, Nissan. There's a number of other OEMs that are looking at and exploring this. I think General Motors launched something last year in the mobile recall space. So it's coming and it's continuing to come. And on top of that, we continue to expand the partnerships that we have with OEMs, across the board. I think we've got over 14 of them now that we have direct relationships with at BizzyCar. So super excited about where that's going. And we also, as I mentioned last time, I teased it, we have a mobile app, which we're just rolling out now to dealers. That's to help make the route planning and the recall process that much easier. Because I don't know about you guys, but scheduling seemed to be kind of a pain in the backside when you're trying to run lots of trucks, lots of drivers, trying to get that coordinated. We've kind of solved for that with our mobile app that we're just taking out to the market now to hopefully make dealers be more efficient. So excited to help dealers continue to grow.
Ed, would you mind speaking to some of that? Because I know you were one of the early pioneers in thinking all this out with the logistics.
Well, when we started, it was all with spreadsheets, and there's nothing efficient about spreadsheets and trying to use Google Maps to figure out which way is the best way to go. And at the time that you set it up, you don't know what traffic's going to be like at the time that you do it. And having an app where you can redirect and move people around, it helps immensely with efficiency. And one vehicle may get done, having multiple units out there. One vehicle may get done sooner at one stop than we had originally anticipated, and it may be able to relieve another one. And tying those things together where we can see the position of where they're at and those things really helps with the efficiency. And the efficiency is the trip value.
Amazing. And if you don't mind, Ed, talk to us a little bit about the customer satisfaction, because that's really been another big incremental thing that you've picked up there with the mobile operation.
Customers absolutely love it. I mean, we talked about earlier the time that customers don't want to dedicate to having their vehicle serviced. Nobody wants to take time to service their vehicle. It's just not something we schedule into our schedule. And when we take those things off their plate, it just drives the customer satisfaction through the roof. And a couple of weeks ago, we put a post out there. Jeremy put a post out there of a tech team that had 100% for the month. There's not too many. 100% is tough to get in. There's a picture of 100% is tough anywhere in any part of the dealership. But this is an ongoing basis. This team did it, another team did it, and they do it month after month after month. And it's because customers say, hey, I didn't know this was available to me. This is cool. I appreciate it. It's an added level that they didn't expect. And but once they experience it once, that's the only thing they want going forward. So when we talk about expanding and how we're going to get to all those, the more we introduce it, the more we're going to need to get out there and make sure that we're available when they need us the next time as well.
At Bozard, you literally break records. And here I recognize the gentleman on the left. He's a technician. He's been on a panel with you and Jeremy here this week at the Roundtable. Who's the gentleman in the middle, Ed?
That is Bozard. He is our dealer principal, and he's just as involved as the rest of us. He's supporting these guys and thanking these guys for what they do. It's one thing to ask these guys to go out and go to someone's home and communicate and be the advisor and the technician, but he's there showing the appreciation for what they do for us as well.
Jim, I see your many posts on social media talking about, you actually quote the reviews from the customers on mobile service. Tell us about that, because that's been a pleasant surprise.
It has, Ted, and there is as Ed just said, there is a tremendous lift in your customer satisfaction scores across the board when our customers use any type, the remote experience, mobile service, pickup and delivery, and they let you know about it, and it's not always a bad time, which is great. They let you know. And they really let you know because they had such a great experience. It's convenient, and that's the secret sauce, is the convenience. It's something that really hasn't existed at this level with a Ford dealership, and people are really calling back and requesting it again. As said, it's a reoccurring process. So repeat service. I want the mobile truck back to my house again. It's time for my works package, or, you know, my tire light's on, or I got this recall notice from Ford, and I'd like to see if, can you come to my house and do it? Because I have little kids or I work from home, and this really tremendously helps me out. So Google 5-star reviews, as I talked about before, people tend to go on Google review, and they give us a really high rating, and they just speak about their very pleasant experience and how happy they were. And they would definitely use it again, which they are proving now. So we're in the cycle now of repeat and reoccurring services. People are requesting it. So we are still actively marketing every single day through social media, through emails, you know, through point of sale material in the dealership, in the service department, in the finance offices, in the sales department. You know, we have banners and all kinds of little handout cards and email blasts every month. And, you know, we do really well. And now the people are now starting finally to, hey, I want that mobile service. And then, of course, they see the trucks on the road every day, and they're out there. You know, it's a moving billboard. So it's an advertising point. It's a retention tool. It's a customer satisfaction boost tool. And it's a revenue adding tool. So a business within a business, mobile service is like a separate owned entity. And it actually expands your install capacity in your dealership without adding brick and mortar. So that all those cars and vehicles that we're servicing off-site leaves open spots in the service department, so you can see more, and you didn't increase your brick and mortar. So there's so many positive points on this. So many.
And Ed mentioned it too. He says once somebody has a mobile service experience, it's hard for them to go back. Well, think about how many Tesla owners, right, who were kind of the first to the market, who we're now trying to market into EVs that we have. And you're telling them that they have to now go from getting the mobile service with Tesla, having to now come into the store. So if we're investing all this money in EV and trying to do this and not keeping up with their expectations, we're not going to be able to even start, right? Like right off the back, we're starting with a negative experience or a lesser experience than what they're used to.
True.
And Mike Murray, it would seem that every week in the news, I'm seeing another recall, and these are all big numbers. Okay, that's not going away. That's growing with the technology in vehicles. So this really goes hand in hand. The recalls and the dealers who are now into the mobile service. It works really well, Mike.
Yeah, it's I mean, listen, all of us want fixed vehicles and want safe vehicles, but at the same time, there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of, right? To get ourselves in front of the customer, whether it's mobile or in the stores, people mentioned, to take care of the customer's needs, provide them with a great experience, however they want it done. And we just happen to use recalls as the hook, because one of the interesting things about recalls is all these customers that have opted out, TCPA, CAM spam, etc., we can reach out to them because recalls is exempt from that. So we can drive those customers back in. As a matter of fact, I just pulled an interesting stat. In Q1 of this year, of the BizzyCar customers, 60% of the customers we scheduled in hadn't been into the store in over 12 months. 12 months. So it's a really great trigger to get them back in. And the pros like Ed and Jeremy and Jim, they know what to do when they're there, right? Post MPI, equity mine, all the other things that happen when the customer's there and in front of them, and great things happen. So super excited about where it's going, and you know, not going to stop the recall train anytime soon from what I've been reading lately. So
yeah, 9 million new recalls were issued in Q1. And, you know, for a lot of dealers, you know, the process that they've had in the past of, you know, investing in a BDC to call, and they're wasting efforts reaching out to people who no longer own those vehicles, or expensive mailers who, if somebody doesn't own that vehicle, they're never reaching back out to the dealership and saying, hey, dealership, stop sending me this mail. I don't own the vehicle. They just throw it away. And I don't know, Ed and Jim, do you know what your cost per mailer is that you guys send out?
From the standpoint of the recalls, the manufacturer is required to send those out. And then, so they get those, but they trash them. They don't do a whole lot with them. And our number's not on there. So there's not a connection for them to reach out to us to schedule anything. It's just, it's informative to them if they choose for it to be, but there's nothing that's still convenient about the letter, because there's nothing on there that says, call this number to schedule and blah, blah, blah. So there's not necessarily a cost to that, but there's not necessarily any value that comes from it either.
Exactly. I just look at it as waste, right? And then the struggle is the dealership can't control the traffic. Because if you send somebody out and say, hey, there's a safety a recall and cars are catching on fire or getting accidents, the first thing is this fear. I got to go to the dealership. They come to the dealership and you guys might not even have the parts in stock. So now you're having a customer service issue on top of that.
And that's not
Exactly.
that's not a quality service visit, is it? Ed, how's the quality of your Ed going on 4 years on BizzyCar? How's the quality of your service visits now with recalls?
Well, it's a matter of what we make them, and when we're not prepared for that customer, it ensures the reason why they didn't come to us to begin with. And if we're prepared for them, or we make it convenient for them, then it makes them consider us as the only option to do, or the only ones to do service with. So it's a game changer all the way around when you embrace it.
Jim, I've learned to come to you to help recap the panel, so I'll give you the final word today. Jim Sabino, All-American Ford.
Okay, so again, we touched on so many really good, valuable points here through mobile service, remote experience, and the true value of finding these VINs with all these open recalls as BizzyCar delivers. It helps us at the dealership level navigate and schedule properly. It fills in a lot of gaps. It drives a lot of revenue into the service department, whether it's in the mobile service experience or coming through the service drive itself. Again, they every single point that they touch on BizzyCar, you are provided with every possible name, address, email address, cell number. If it's a business, they tell you who the person they spoke to, the labor op, and the parts, if parts are needed for that recall to be performed. They have real-time access to scheduling. They see what parts are in inventory in your DMS. So it's a really good, they check every box for you, and all what I'm going to call is all the heavy lifting they take away from you, and they do it. They provide you with a finished product. We just have to execute the recall and submit it to Ford for payment. That's really pretty much it from that. Everything else, you still need a committed team to really, the mobile service coordinator, the technicians that drive these trucks, they're customer facing. So there's a lot, and you want to get these customers to really appreciate the service you provide. And you want that repeat and referral business to really engage in the next go around as it's happening. So, mobile service is a huge, huge opportunity. It's a win. The customer, it will be your customer for life, and because of the convenience, keep them in your loop, and that's it. Sales department love the service because it helps them close the deal, offering this service at time of purchase. It really is. It's a great tool for the variable side of the business. So thank you to BizzyCar, and thanks for this great panel with Jeremy and Ed Roberts and Hunter and Mike Murray. Thank you.
Hunter, if our audience wants to learn more about BizzyCar, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, BizzyCar.com has all the information on our site and an easy way to schedule a demo.
Great. Want to thank the panel here today, our panel of experts, Hunter Swift from BizzyCar, Mike Murray, great friend from BizzyCar as well, Jim Sabino, All-American Ford, and of course, Jeremy Stevens and Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln. Everybody, the BizzyCar panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.